This is Akashvani. In the program Insights, now we bring you a discussion on key takeaways of Prime Minister's five-nation visit. The participants are Professor Anshu Joshi, International Affairs expert, and Rajesh Lake, anchor.
Welcome to the program Insights on the key takeaways from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recently concluded five-nation tour from 2nd of July to 9th of July 2025. This diplomatic journey marked a significant outreach to the global south, focusing on strengthening India's strategic, economic and cultural ties across Africa, Latin America and the Caribbean. Let's listen to a brief report that sums up Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recently concluded five-nation tour.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on a landmark five-nation tour on 2nd of July, marking one of the most significant diplomatic outreaches of his tenure. Over the course of 8 days, he visited Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Brazil and Namibia, reinforcing India's deepening ties with countries of the global south. The historic visit began with Ghana, where Prime Minister Modi received a warm reception in the capital, Accra. He held bilateral talks with President John Mahama, focusing on critical areas such as vaccine production, agriculture, defense and mineral cooperation. Several MOUs were signed and the Prime Minister also addressed Ghana's parliament.
राष्ट्रपति जी और मैंने हमारी द्विपक्षीय साझेदारी को कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव पार्टनरशिप का रूप देने का निर्णय लिया है। घाना के राष्ट्र निर्माण की इस यात्रा में भारत केवल एक सहयोगी नहीं बल्कि एक सहयात्री है।
The next stop was Trinidad and Tobago, where Prime Minister Modi met Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar and President Christine Kangaloo in Port of Spain. In Argentina, the Prime Minister held comprehensive talks with President Javier Milei, focusing on expanding collaboration in agriculture, mining, renewable energy and defense. The Prime Minister then arrived in Brazil to participate in the 17th BRICS Summit. There, he joined global leaders in discussions on sustainable development, institutional reforms, and cooperation in artificial intelligence. In the final leg of the tour, the Prime Minister arrived in Namibia, marking the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the country in nearly 3 decades. The Prime Minister was conferred with the highest national honours by 3 countries, Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago and Brazil. This visit will be remembered for strengthening South-South cooperation and reaffirming India's global engagement.
Today we are joined in by Professor Anshu Joshi from JNU, an expert in international relations, to help us unpack the outcomes, significance and future implications of this landmark tour. Welcome to the program, Professor Joshi.
Thank you so much, Rajesh.
At the onset, let's talk about what were the main objectives of the Prime Minister's five-nation tour and why were these particular countries chosen for this visit?
So we have to see that these very significant 5 nations were chosen for Prime Minister Modi's five-nation tour to strengthen India's bilateral as well as multilateral ties across these nations as well as global south, with a focus on some key areas, key gains related to critical minerals, defense collaboration, diaspora outreach, digital payments, counter-terrorism initiatives, and more. So this visit saw major bilateral agreements, and our Prime Minister also participated in 17th BRICS Summit, which resulted in a diplomatic victory for India And we also saw UPI's first international adoption and 4 civilian honors also for our Prime Minister. These countries were chosen for their special significance. When we look at Ghana representing Africa, it's a gold-rich, critical minerals-rich country, and it has very long bilateral ties with India. On the other hand, when we look at Trinidad and Tobago, it has civilizational connects with India. A very good number of Indians live in Trinidad and Tobago. Argentina is one of the lithium triangle countries in Latin America, again having ages-old relations with India. Brazil, we all know, is the largest and strategically most important country of Latin America, again having very good relations with India for a very long period of time. And Namibia representing Africa, and it's a critical minerals-rich country. It has uranium and other critical minerals which are significant for India, not only in fulfilling its national goals, but also bilaterally as well as multilaterally. So that is why these countries can be considered as the symbols, as in this tour, this whole journey, then delivered some concrete results across different focused areas, from critical minerals to defense collaboration to diaspora outreach and other significant areas like trade and investments and so on.
So, Professor Joshi, how does this tour enhance India's role as a leader among the developing nations and the global south?
From last couple of years, we have seen that how India has become very strong voice of global south agenda. All these global south nations have been fighting for their right role, leadership roles in different international platforms. And we have seen that how they have been ignored from international platforms like United Nations to G20 and so on. By adding African Union as the permanent member to G20, when India had the presidency of G20, which was earlier known as a mighty platform of Western nations, in 2023, India started democratizing these international platforms. It started this long journey from G20 itself. And now we see that how India is seen like the voice of Global South. And not only that, our Prime Minister participated in the very significant 17th BRICS Summit hosted by Brazil this year. And now Brazil's outreach is having 11 member nations, wherein its latest member, Indonesia, now allows BRICS to reach out to Southeast Asia as well. And through this summit, India again focused on reforms in global governance, food and energy security, counterterrorism cooperation, responsible AI, and different other areas like agriculture, research, science and technology, digital solutions, renewable energy, the target of climate change containment, cross-border security, and so on. And through this platform, India also very clearly mentioned the agenda of Global South, as in getting the leadership position in the global politics and doing developmental politics through collaboration, through cooperation.
So what are the expected economic benefits for India and the partner countries, especially in areas like critical minerals, which you mentioned a while back, and also renewable energy and digital infrastructure? Along with this, I may quickly add that how do these engagements contribute to India's energy security and access to strategic resources?
In today's multipolar world, we can clearly see that there are two open theaters of war. The situation is in a flux wherein we can see that the security environment is also volatile. So India understands this very well. India has been trying to diversify its dependency on different players, not only in the sector of oil and gas, but critical minerals also, and in the area of renewable energy also. So having said that, India has strengthened its bilateral as well as multilateral relations in recent past. So I will now bring in these nations to explain how India has actually taken this new kind of an approach wherein it has made diplomatic inroads in resource-rich but debt-stressed countries like Ghana and Argentina, offering them alternatives to the kind of financial mechanism or trap, I would say, that China uses for them. So it's like a win-win situation for these nations. And these nations, we all know, be it about Ghana or Namibia or Brazil or Argentina, they all are rich in critical minerals, and Brazil is also playing a significant role in the area of renewable energy, as in it works very closely with India in International Solar Alliance and Biofuel Alliance. So India has signed bilateral agreements with these nations. For example, we have signed MOUs in fintech, traditional medicines, standardizations in the area of critical minerals with Ghana. We have also committed to double our bilateral trade to 25,000 crore with Ghana. And when we look at Trinidad and Tobago, we have done agreements in the area of cultural exchanges, diplomatic training, and of course, defense collaboration. With Argentina, we have signed MOUs on critical minerals, shell energy, because Argentina is looking for a partner in the area of shell energy presently, and also in the area of defense collaboration and pharma again. And when we look at Brazil, Brazil is contributing significantly in the areas of International Solar Alliance and Biofuel Alliance. When we look at Namibia, again, we have signed significant MOUs with Namibia, and Namibia has also joined the Global Biofuel Alliance. By signing these agreements and this visit, now India has ensured its diversification of its energy security and ensured a long-term partnership with all these nations.
Okay, you mentioned about the key agreements that India has signed with these 5 countries. How might India's strengthened ties with these countries influence its position in international forums such as BRICS, the African Union and CARICOM?
So take an example of Ghana. Ghana is a significant member of African Union as well as ECOWAS. ECOWAS is the economic platform or organization of African nations. And by signing these critical MOUs with Ghana, India not only ensured its strategic partnership with Ghana, but also a good place in terms of having organizational relations, partnerships, investment with African Union as well as ECOWAS. Now let's take the example of Trinidad and Tobago. It's a Caribbean country. It has civilizational connects with India. Again, by having good relations with Trinidad and Tobago, India now holds a significantly important place in CARICOM, or platform, which is like a group of Caribbean countries. And all these Caribbean countries are very important due to their geostrategic location. Then just take a look at the countries like Argentina and Brazil, who are like the faces of Latin America. And by having good bilateral relations with these countries, India again makes a good place in Mercosur, which is the economic platform of South America. When India ensures its collaboration with any of these nations who have a good say in their regional partnerships or regional organizations, India definitely strengthens its diplomacy, its place in all these regional platforms.
So, Professor Joshi, yes, what message does this tour send to other major global powers regarding India's diplomatic priorities?
So, India has been taking this message of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam to all the nations, and it's a part of our foreign policy. When we had the presidency of G20, that is what we shared with the member nations, and it was really nice to see when our Prime Minister reached Brazil that the word family was placed everywhere with all the posters and all the big pictures that we were able to see. So it's clear that India does not do a negative politics in the global affairs with a new kind of diplomacy, wherein it talks about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It considers the whole earth as one family, believes in a win-win situation for both the partners, and of course it believes in developmental politics.
Yes, we agree with you, and I would like to thank you, Professor Joshi, for sharing your insights on the key takeaways from Prime Minister Modi's 5-nation tour. Thank you for being with Akashvani.
Thank you so much, Rajeshi. Namaskar.
You were listening to a discussion on key takeaways of Prime Minister's 5-nation visit. The participants were Professor Anshu Joshi, International Affairs expert, and Rajesh Lake, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.